You probably have heard so much from different people about calories and calorie counting, but do calories actually matter? Should we be calorie counting? And does having a big range of calories from one day to the next matter? We're going to talk about that today. If you are new, hello and welcome. My name is Katie. I'm a registered dietitian and certified personal trainer. And here on the channel, we talk all about how to have a healthy diet and a healthy relationship with food at the same time, because both are so important. So today we're going to do a deep dive into a question that I got on Instagram, and that is, should we really care about how many calories we consume? I feel amazing, but my calorie range is large. I think this is a beautiful question and something that I love that you are curious about. I actually have a pretty detailed answer to this. First of all, a lot of you who follow me on Instagram may also not only be interested in the nutrition side of things, but also the fitness side of things, since I do a little bit of both. And what I will say is that especially if you are an active person, it's very likely that your calorie needs fluctuate from day to day. Now, that is true for other people as well, because maybe, for example, if you're a normally sedentary person, but then you have a weekend job where you are cleaning for an Airbnb, then you are probably burning a lot more calories when you are cleaning on Saturday and Sunday than you are sitting around Monday through Friday. So this can definitely apply for both sedentary and active people, but I want to say especially for active folks, I see it way too often that active folks really highly underestimate how many calories their body actually needs, because we get bombarded constantly with all of these messages that 1,200 calories is normal, and that's actually a lot less than you should be getting. That's the amount of calorie needs for a toddler, not for someone who is active, and most likely not even for someone who is sedentary. You probably need a little bit more than that. Another thing I will say is that I really don't love recommending calorie counting long term. I do think that it can be helpful in the short term, but oftentimes it helps pave the way to obsessive and even disordered eating habits. And this is not true for everyone, so before you go in the comments and say,
well, that's not me. I can calorie count day in and day out, and I never ever feel any sort of obsessive behavior about it.
I might argue that the defensiveness is potentially a sign of obsessiveness about it, or defensiveness and protection around your calorie counting, but nonetheless, some people really do fine with calorie counting, and they can do it for a long time and they really don't get bothered by it. But I find a lot of people, more often than not, just end up really getting overly wrapped up in this number. And that leads to part 3 of my answer to this question. Calories are strictly an estimate, and the rule for calories on a label is that they can be up to 20% inaccurate on the label. You heard me, up to 20% of inaccuracy is allowed on the food label. So the food label, even though it is probably a close guesstimate to what the calories are, it can be pretty highly inaccurate. And just the measure of calories from food in and of itself, there's several different ways to measure the calories of a food, is also highly flawed, because a lot of the most common methods to figure out how many calories are in a particular food are done by, you guessed it, humans, which means that that does not account for the human error that can happen when you are measuring a food. So there's a ton of different pieces of the puzzle to why calorie counting may or may not be helpful long term, but I hope that gives you a little bit of a more balanced viewpoint of why calories can, they can be helpful to some degree, but they also aren't everything. So you might ask, okay, Katie, if calorie counting is not the thing, then what do I do? Do I macro count? Do I do something else? And my answer to that is that I personally love something like a photo food log a lot more. And here is why. If you're not familiar with a photo food log, first I'll start with that kind of intro to a photo food log. You can essentially download an app. Most of them that I have seen, the one that I have is free. It's called See How You Eat, and it has about 6 different little bubbles that you can add a picture of your food to at each meal and get reminded at each meal to snap a photo. I prefer this over calorie counting because I think it not only gets you away from just focusing on the arbitrary numbers that really aren't that accurate to begin with, and helps you focus more on balance. That is my philosophy as a dietitian. Balance over calorie counting. And I actually have a masterclass on the 5 secrets to fueling your workouts like a pro without calorie counting or dieting, and that directly applies to and talks about some of the topics that we're talking about in this video. So if you're enjoying this video, check it out in the description. It should be up by the time I post this video, but if not, it'll be there soon, so don't worry. Check my Instagram links, it'll be there when it is ready. But I think a photo food log helps you focus on that balance instead of having to obsess over a number. Long story short. So let me know in the comments below, do you calorie count? Do you macro count? Do you prefer to go an intuitive eating or mindful eating style? Let me know what you prefer in the comment section below, and be nice to each other. We can have differing opinions without, going at each other's throats about it. I am not about that on this channel. I want to give an open space for all types of people who have a healthy philosophy around food. And sometimes you might be in the space where you're counting calories for now and you want to eventually transition to intuitive eating. I don't like to, throw labels at people. I think we're all at different points in our journey at different moments, and that's okay. So thank you so much for joining me for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button. Check out the links in the description to learn more about how to work with me and connect with the community, or you can check out my Patreon link in the description if you want to support the channel and donate today. And if you want to keep hanging out with me today, then click or tap the screen to head on over to the next video.